I never thought a single evening could change the way I looked at my marriage. Not after 25 years. Not after the promises we made, the memories we built, and the quiet life we had settled into. But that night, something inside me broke, and something else quietly woke up. It started with a simple question, one I had asked many times before. Are you coming home early today? My husband, my companion, my friend for more than half my life, paused longer than usual. And his answer, soft and unsure, felt like a small crack opening in a wall I always believed was solid. I am not sure. Do not wait for me. I remember standing near the kitchen counter, holding my phone, feeling the cool tile under my feet. There was nothing dramatic about the moment, just a quiet shift, like a subtle wind before a storm. But my heart understood something my mind did not want to accept. Something was wrong. Not loud, not visible, but present. For years, our life had been steady, normal, ordinary in the peaceful, comforting way you hope marriage becomes after a long time. We woke up, shared tea, talked about our days, argued about small things, laughed about others, and moved through our routines like two people who knew each other too well to hide anything. At least, that is what I believed. But that night, when he walked in the door later than usual, smelling faintly of a perfume that was not mine, and avoiding my eyes, I felt the air shift between us. I wanted to ask him, where were you? Who were you with? Why do I feel you slipping away? But I said nothing, because sometimes silence feels safer. Sometimes silence feels like protection. Instead, I smiled. A small smile that even I did not believe. And I said, "You must be tired. Sit down. I will heat your dinner." He nodded. Grateful or guilty? I couldn't tell. As I warmed the food, I watched him from across the room. The way he avoided my gaze, the way his shoulders seemed heavy, the way he looked like a man who was holding something inside. That was the moment I knew my marriage, my life, was about to be tested in a way I had never imagined. I did not cry. I did not panic. I simply felt a quiet ache, the kind that settles deep inside your chest and stays there, waiting. And as I placed the plate in front of him, he whispered, "Thank you." He said it gently, almost too gently, and I wondered, was this the beginning of an ending? Or the beginning of a truth I was finally meant to see? When I look back now, trying to understand how everything slowly shifted, I realize that marriages rarely break in one single moment. They fade quietly, like colors left too long under the sun. And sometimes you do not notice the fading until you suddenly see what shade it used to be. For 25 years, my husband and I built a life that felt steady. Not perfect, not passionate the way it was in the early years, but comfortable, familiar, and safe. His name is Farid. We met when we were both young, too young to understand what marriage truly meant. I was 22, shy and full of dreams that I never spoke aloud. He was 25, confident in a calm way, with eyes that made me feel seen without saying much. Our marriage had been arranged, but he made me feel like it was chosen. He He gave me space, he respected me, he never raised his voice, and not once did he make me feel small. In the beginning, he would bring me flowers on random evenings, not because it was a special day, but because he thought I might have had a long afternoon. He would tell me about his work, every detail, even the small boring things, and he always asked me about my day, even when he was tired. I still remember the first home we lived in, a small apartment with old paint and noisy neighbors. But we were happy. We ate simple dinners, we went for evening walks. We built our habits slowly, like a puzzle coming together piece by piece. After a few years, we moved to a bigger house. We saved for it, worked hard for it, dreamed about it. It was not luxurious, but it was ours. I decorated every corner with love. He painted the walls himself. We planted a small garden behind the house where he used to tease me because I would talk to the plants as if they could hear me. Life felt stable. We had our share of normal arguments, money, work hours, forgetfulness, family visits. Nothing unusual, nothing alarming, just the kind of disagreements every couple eventually learns to live with. But the truth is, a marriage is not made of dramatic moments. It is made of routines, patterns, habits that grow stronger or weaker over time. And somewhere in those patterns, small changes began. I didn't notice them at first, or maybe I ignored them because everything else still looked normal from the outside. Fareed started coming home a little later than usual. At first, he would call. "There is traffic. I have a meeting. I had to finish some things." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He had never given me a reason to doubt him. Then the calls became texts. Short ones. Late. Busy. Do not wait. And then, eventually, even those stopped. We still ate dinner together most nights, but the way we talked changed. Before, he used to share everything. Now, when I asked about his day, he answered with simple sentences. It was okay. It was tiring. Nothing special. He still smiled at me, but the smile didn't reach his eyes the way it used to. He still sat beside me, but his thoughts felt far away. Sometimes during dinner, I would see him staring at his phone. He would put it face down quickly, almost too quickly. I told myself not to read too much into it. Everyone is on their phone these days. Maybe it was work. Maybe it was stress. But somewhere deep inside, I felt the tiniest whisper of worry. Still, I said nothing. Maybe because I didn't want to be the kind of wife who accuses without proof. Maybe because I was afraid of the answer. Maybe because silence had become easier than confrontation. Another change happened slowly. His laughter. Fareed used to laugh freely. His laugh was warm, loud, the kind that filled a room. But over time, his laughter became rare, almost fragile. He smiled politely at jokes, but the joy behind it was fading. I missed his real laugh so much. Sometimes I would try to make him laugh the way I used to, but he would only look at me with tired eyes and say, "You're funny," as if the words were a duty, not a feeling. I wanted to ask him, "What is happening inside you?" But instead I asked him things like, "Do you want more tea?" Or, "Should I warm the food?" Because those questions felt safe. One evening, I found him sitting in the living room, staring at nothing. His shoulders were hunched, and his face looked lost. It scared me a little. I sat beside him, gently. "Are you all right?" He nodded. "I'm fine." But his voice was too calm, too careful, as if something inside him was fragile and he was trying hard not to break it. That was the first time I felt truly afraid. Not of losing him, but of losing the connection between us. And yet, life continued. Weeks became months. We celebrated our 25th anniversary quietly. No big plans, no dinner outside, just a simple meal at home. I asked him if he wanted to go out somewhere, just the two of us. He smiled and said, "Maybe next week. I am a little tired." Next week never came. Still, I kept giving him space. I told myself he was stressed. Work had been difficult. He was getting older. Maybe this was normal. But another part of me, the quiet part that lived deep inside, wondered if I had become invisible to him. I started noticing small things. He changed his perfume. He ironed his shirts more carefully. He used his phone with a password I didn't know, something he had never done before. Even the way he looked at himself in the mirror changed. He stood a little longer, adjusted his hair, straightened his collar. I wanted to believe it was just midlife insecurity. Maybe he was trying to feel good about himself. But doubt is a strange thing. It grows quietly, even when you try to ignore it. I still remember one evening clearly. We were sitting outside on the porch. The sky was turning orange, and the birds were returning to their nests. It was peaceful, the kind of moment where two people usually talk about life. But we sat in silence. I looked at him. He looked tired, distant. His eyes were somewhere far away. So I asked softly, "Fareed, are you happy?" He turned to me, surprised. Then he gave me a small smile, the polite one. "Yes, of course. Why would you ask?" I wanted to say, "Because I feel you slipping away, because your eyes no longer meet mine the same way, because I miss the man who used to hold my hand without thinking." But I simply shook my head and said, "No reason, just wanted to ask." He nodded and looked away again. That was when I realized something painful. Two people can live under the same roof, sleep on the same bed, share the same table, and still feel miles apart. But I held on to hope, because 25 years is not something you throw away easily, because I believed in us, because I believed in him. I kept telling myself, it's just a phase. He'll come back to me. Maybe I just need to be patient. But deep down, a quiet worry was growing roots. And every day, those roots grew deeper. Nothing dramatic had happened yet. No big fight, no confession, no visible betrayal. Just a slow drifting, a silent distance, a growing emptiness that made the walls of our home feel colder than they used to. Still, I stayed gentle. I stayed calm. I stayed hopeful. Because love, once it has lived in your heart for so long, does not disappear easily. It tries. It holds on. It waits. But what I didn't know then was this. Sometimes while one person is holding on quietly, the other person is letting go silently. And silence can be the loudest warning of all. The months that followed felt like walking through a quiet fog. Nothing was clear, yet nothing was loud enough to force a confrontation. Life continued in small routines, but beneath every routine, there was a new tension. Soft, almost invisible, like a thread pulling a little tighter each day. I kept telling myself, maybe I am imagining things. Maybe I am reading too much into small changes. Maybe I am the one who needs to adjust. But deep down, something was shifting. Slowly, steadily, quietly. It began with small behaviors. Tiny details my heart picked up even when my mind tried to ignore them. Fareed became protective of his phone in a way he had never been in 25 years of marriage. Before, he used to leave it anywhere, on the couch, on the counter, sometimes even in the bathroom with the sound of his messages echoing through the house. He never cared. He never hid anything. But now, it was different. He kept it in his pocket, even when he changed clothes. He took it with him when he went to take a shower. He put it face down on the table. When it buzzed, he would glance at it quickly, then lock it before I could even notice the screen. I tried to stay calm. I tried to tell myself, maybe it is work. Maybe there are issues at the office. But one evening, something happened that left a small bruise on my heart. We were watching a movie together, a simple one. Nothing serious, just something to pass the evening. His phone lit up beside him, and when he picked it up, a soft smile touched his lips. A smile I had not seen in a long time. A smile that was small, but real. I felt my stomach tighten. Not in anger, not in jealousy, just in quiet fear. He typed something quickly, then locked the phone and placed it away. I did not ask. I could not. My voice felt trapped in my chest. Instead, I focused on the movie, pretending everything was normal. But my heart was no longer watching. It was listening to every silence, every pause, every hidden smile. The late nights became more frequent. At first, it was once a week, then twice, then almost every day. He always had reasons. A new project, important deadlines, the boss needs me. I wanted to believe him. I truly did. But his explanations were too brief, too rehearsed, too distant. One night, I decided to stay awake until he came home. I sat in the living room with a soft light on, pretending to read a book. But I wasn't reading. I was waiting. The clock ticked past midnight, then 1, then 2. When the door finally opened, Fareed stepped in slowly. He looked surprised to see me awake. "You're still up?" he asked. I nodded. I couldn't sleep. He walked toward me, his steps heavy, his face tired. "It was a long day," he said. There was no warmth in his voice, no guilt either, just emptiness. I wanted to ask him where he exactly had been, but my throat felt tight, and all I could say was, "Did you eat anything?" He nodded. "Yes, don't worry." Then he walked past me and went straight to the bedroom. I sat there for a long time. The house felt cold. The silence felt heavier than usual. And for the first time, I felt something I had never felt in 25 years of marriage. Loneliness. Fareed had always been expressive with his eyes. Even when he didn't talk much, his eyes spoke for him. When he was happy, they sparkled. When he was stressed, they softened. When he was worried, they told me before he even said a word. But now, it was like a curtain had fallen over them. He didn't look at me the way he used to. His eyes slid past me, as if he was looking through me. Sometimes I wondered if he saw me at all. I caught him staring into space many times. Not thinking, not resting, just gone. One afternoon, I found him sitting on the edge of the bed. His head was bowed, his hands clasped tightly. I sat beside him. "Fareed?" He looked up slowly. There was sadness in his eyes. Sadness and something else. Something like confusion, something like conflict. "Are you all right?" I asked softly. He nodded too quickly. "Yes, just tired." I placed my hand on his. He didn't move away, but he did not hold my hand either. It was like touching someone who was physically present, but emotionally absent. Something inside me trembled that day, a fear I had never known. It was around this time that even others began to noticing. One of my closest friends, Sana, visited me for tea. She had known Fareed and me since our early marriage days. She knew what we were like together, our rhythm, our connection, our inside jokes. That day, Fareed came home early. He greeted us politely, then went straight to the bedroom, closing the door behind him. Sana watched him go, then turned to me with gentle concern. "Is everything okay between you two?" Her question hit me harder than I expected. I gave her the same answer I kept giving myself. "He's just stressed with work." But even as I said it, my voice did not sound convincing. Sana placed her hand on mine. "You know you can talk to me." I nodded. But inside, I felt a mixture of shame and confusion. How could I explain something I myself didn't fully understand? How could I admit that after 25 years, I didn't know what was happening to my own marriage? Fareed and I weren't the kind of couple that fought often. Even in difficult times, we always found a calm way to talk. But now, small arguments began to appear. Not big ones, not loud ones, just small misunderstandings. If I asked him when he would be home, he would sigh and say, "Why are you questioning me?" If I asked him if he had eaten, he would reply, "Don't worry so much." If I asked him if everything was okay, he would mutter, "Why do you always assume something is wrong?" His tone was not harsh, just tired, impatient, distant. And each small argument left a tiny wound in my heart. Every Saturday, without fail, Fareed and I would visit the market together. It was our ritual, something we looked forward to. A simple outing, but meaningful to both of us. One Friday evening, I asked him, "Are we going to the market tomorrow?" He paused. "I already have plans tomorrow." I blinked. "Plans? With whom?" "A colleague. We have some work to finish." A colleague. On Saturday. At 10 a.m. When the office was closed. For the first time, my heart whispered the word I had been avoiding. Someone else. But still, I did not accuse him. I simply nodded and said, "Okay." He looked relieved, and that hurt more than if he had been defensive. One evening, he walked through the door smelling of a perfume I did not recognize. Soft. Sweet. Feminine. It hit me like a quiet wave. I stood in the hallway, holding a basket of clean laundry, unable to move. He saw me looking at him and froze for a second. Then he said quickly, "Oh, someone sprayed perfume at the office today. It must have gotten on me." He said it too fast. Too prepared. Too rehearsed. I smiled weakly. "I see." And walked away. Not because I believed him, but because I did not have the strength to question him. The hardest part was not the late nights, not the perfume, not the secretive phone, not even the silence. The hardest part was the loneliness. The kind of loneliness that sits beside you when you eat. The kind that sleeps next to you at night. The kind that follows you even when the house is full of noise. I missed him. I missed us. I missed the man who used to hold my hand without being asked. who used to ask about my day, who used to share his world with me. Now it felt like we lived on two different islands separated by an ocean neither of us dared to cross. One night, I walked past the study room and heard him talking softly on the phone. His voice had a tenderness in it, something warm, gentle, almost shy, a tone he had not used with me in months. I felt my breath catch. I did not move. I did not step closer. I simply stood there listening to a voice I no longer recognized. When he realized I was near, he ended the call quickly and opened the door. He looked startled. "Oh, I was just talking about work." I nodded. I did not ask. He lowered his eyes as if ashamed, but said nothing. That night, I lay in bed long after he fell asleep. The silence between us felt like a thick wall I did not know how to climb. One afternoon, while doing laundry, I found a shirt of his that smelled strongly of the same unfamiliar perfume. This time, it was not a faint scent. It was clear, fresh, impossible to ignore. I held the shirt in my hands for a long time. My chest felt tight. My eyes stung, but I did not cry. Instead, I folded it neatly and placed it with the rest of the clothes. I told myself, maybe I am misunderstanding. Maybe there is an innocent reason. But deep down, another part of me whispered, maybe there is not. It became clear that something was happening. Maybe not an affair, maybe not a betrayal, but something emotional, something secret, something real. He was present in the house, but absent from my heart. I would cook his favorite meals. He would thank me politely, but he no longer looked at me with warmth. I would ask him about his day. He would answer with short sentences, then go to the bedroom. I tried to reconnect. One evening, I sat next to him and said, "Fareed, I feel like we are drifting apart. Can we talk?" He sighed heavily. Not angry, not irritated, just tired. "There's nothing to talk about. I'm just busy," he said, and then he stood up and walked away. And I realized talking to him now was like talking to a closed door. There were days when I wanted to pick up his phone and see what he was hiding, but I never did. Not because I trusted him, but because I was afraid of what I might find. Sometimes the truth hurts more than suspicion. Sometimes silence feels safer than answers. But silence can also break a heart slowly. The real conflict began the night he came home later than ever before. The clock had moved past 3 a.m. The house was silent. My heart was restless. When he entered, he looked pale, almost guilty. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair was messy. Before I could say anything, he whispered, "I'm sorry." It was the first apology I had heard from him in months. I wanted to ask him, "Where were you? Who were you with? Why are you drifting away from me?" But his face looked so troubled, so confused, that I swallowed my questions. He sat on the sofa and held his head in his hands. I stood beside him quietly. After a long moment, he looked up at me and said something that shook me to the core. "I don't know what I'm doing anymore." Looking back, I realized that the truth does not arrive suddenly. It creeps in quietly, step by step, through moments you ignore because you are afraid to face them. But there always comes a day when the truth stops whispering and finally speaks aloud. For me, that moment arrived on a Thursday afternoon. A simple, ordinary day. Nothing special, nothing dramatic. But sometimes, the most ordinary day can hold the most extraordinary pain. I was in the kitchen preparing lunch. The window was open and the breeze carried the scent of the garden inside. Everything felt peaceful until my phone rang. When I answered, the voice on the other side hesitated. "Is this Mrs. Fareed?" "Yes," I replied. "I am calling from Fareed's office. I just wanted to confirm if he is feeling better." My heart paused. Feeling better? Why? The woman hesitated, then said softly, "He said he was very sick today and needed to leave early." Leave early? My hand tightened around the phone. Fareed had left home that morning wearing a fresh shirt and smelling of the same perfume I could not place. He had said he would be late due to meetings. Meetings? Not sick, not weak, not going home early. I swallowed, trying to keep my voice calm. "Yes," I whispered. "Thank you for letting me know." When the call ended, I stood frozen in the quiet kitchen. The knife was still on the cutting board, the vegetables untouched. My heart was beating too fast. My mind was racing. Why would he lie? Why would he say he was sick? Where was he now? For years, Fareed had been honest with me, transparent, open, even when the truth was difficult. So why this lie? Why now? A cold fear spread through me, a fear I had never felt in our entire marriage. I tried calling him once, twice, 3 times. No answer. His phone went straight to voicemail. I sat on the edge of the sofa, staring at the silent screen, feeling an emptiness growing inside me. This was not him. This was not the man I had lived with for 25 years. Something was happening, something big, something he was hiding so deeply that even saying he was sick was easier than telling me the truth. The house felt unbearably quiet. Every minute felt longer than the last. By the time the clock reached 5 p.m., my hands were trembling. My mind was fighting between 2 thoughts. Go find him. Stay here and wait. And then a third thought whispered softly. What if you already know the truth? But I shook my head. No, I needed answers, not guesses, not fear, not silence. Around 6 p.m., I heard the front gate open. My heart thudded painfully. Fareed stepped inside the house. He looked startled, almost frightened to see me staring at him. His shirt was slightly wrinkled, his hair was messy, and he smelled faintly of the same unfamiliar perfume. I stood up slowly. "Fareed?" I said. He swallowed. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I took a breath. "I received a call from your office." His face went pale. "What call?" "They said you left early. They said you were sick." Silence. Heavy. Thick. Suffocating. He lowered his eyes. "I can explain." But the truth was already speaking through his silence. We sat in the living room. The air between us felt fragile, like One wrong word could break everything. For a long moment, he said nothing. I said nothing. Then, finally, he took a deep breath. I have not been honest with you. The words felt like a slow knife sliding into my chest. About what, Fareed? I asked, my voice soft. He looked away. I have been confused. Lost. I did not want to worry you. I shook my head slightly. Where were you today? He hesitated again. I needed space. Space from what? He rubbed his forehead. From everything. From work. From life. And from me? I whispered. His silence was the answer I feared. My throat tightened. I looked into his eyes, searching for the man I had loved for 25 years. Is there someone else? I asked. My voice was calm, not angry, not trembling, just tired. He looked shocked. No, he said quickly. There is no one else. But his expression told me there was something he was still hiding. Then, what is happening to us? I whispered. He leaned back heavily, closing his eyes. I do not know who I am anymore. His voice cracked. I wake up feeling empty. I go through the day feeling like I'm walking underwater. I don't feel anything. Not joy, not excitement, not even sadness. Just nothing. I stared at him. This was not the confession I expected. He continued quietly. I thought maybe it's work stress. Then I thought maybe it's age, or pressure, or fear of failing. His hand shook. I did not want to tell you because I did not want you to think I was weak. A part of me softened, but another part, the part that had been hurting for months, still needed to understand. So you started spending time away? Hiding things? Closing yourself off? Lying to me? His eyes filled with tears. I did not know how to talk to you. I did not want to hurt you. Those words cut deeper than anything else. You hurt me more by staying silent, I said softly. He looked down, ashamed. After a long silence, he finally spoke the truth. There is a woman at work. My heart stopped. He quickly raised his hands. It's not what you think, he said. I swear to you, nothing happened. No affair, no betrayal. I closed my eyes. But she listens, he continued quietly. She understands the pressure at work. She talks openly. She laughs easily. Sometimes, talking to her felt easier than talking at home. Not because of you, but because I felt like a failure inside. And she did not know the old version of me. She only knew the tired one. He paused, his voice trembling. I should have told you. I should have talked to you, but I was afraid you would see how lost I was. Hearing him say these words out loud broke something inside me. Not because he mentioned another woman, but because he admitted something far deeper. He felt comfortable with someone else in a way he no longer felt with me. I took a deep breath. Fareed, was she the reason you changed? He shook his head. No. She was a symptom, not the cause. I frowned. He wiped his eyes. I was already falling apart inside. She just happened to be a place where I could hide from myself. His honesty hurt, but it also felt real. Not dramatic, not defensive, just raw truth. Suddenly, Farid leaned forward and covered his face with his hands. His body shook softly. It was the first time I had seen him cry in years. "I do not want to lose you," he whispered, "but I do not know how to come back to you." My heart softened despite the pain, because the man crying in front of me was not a betrayer, not a liar, not a stranger. It was the same man I had married 25 years ago, the man who had loved me deeply once, the man who was now drowning in his own fears. I placed my hand gently on his back. "Then let me help you," I whispered. "Let me in." He inhaled shakily, as if those words were both a relief and a burden. "I do not deserve your help," he said, but I shook my head. "Marriage is not about deserving," I said softly. "It is about choosing each other, even when it feels hard." That night we talked for hours, not arguing, not accusing, just talking. For the first time in months, he opened his heart. He told me about his fears, how he felt like he was aging too fast, how he felt invisible at work, how he felt like life had become a routine without meaning. He wasn't looking for romance with someone else, he was looking for himself. And somehow, in his confusion, he had drifted away from me. I realized something then. Sometimes people do not pull away from you because of who you are. They pull away because of what they are battling inside themselves. At one point, I asked him quietly, "Do you still love me?" He looked at me with tired, teary eyes and whispered, "I never stopped. I just stopped loving myself." That sentence hit me deeply. It explained everything. The distance, the silence, the secretive behavior, the sadness in his eyes. He was not betraying me. He was losing himself. And in losing himself, he had forgotten how to hold on to us. After hours of talking, something unexpected happened. He reached for my hand. Slowly, hesitantly, as if unsure if he still had the right. Our fingers touched, his hand trembled, but when I did not pull away, he held it gently. That simple touch felt like a bridge forming again between us. A small one, but real. It was the first time I had felt connected to him in months. Before going to bed, he whispered, "I will stop talking to her." His voice was steady, firm, clear. "I should have done that long ago," he said quietly. "I do not want anyone else to have pieces of me that belong to us." A tear slid down my cheek, not from pain, but from the quiet relief of knowing he had chosen our marriage. Even though the truth came out, the pain did not disappear instantly. Truth frees you, but it also wounds you. That night, I lay awake long after he fell asleep. I watched his face as he rested, tired, peaceful, familiar. 25 years. A lifetime of memories. Moments of joy, moments of pain, and one moment that changed everything. The turning point was not a fight, not a dramatic confession, not a betrayal. It was two people finally sitting down and facing the truth together. The truth that our marriage had cracks. The truth that he was struggling inside. The truth that I had been hurting quietly. The truth that silence had almost destroyed what we had built. But there was something else too. A truth that surprised even me. Despite everything, I still loved him. And love, when it's real, does not disappear when life becomes difficult. It grows roots. It survives storms. It waits. Before I closed my eyes to sleep, one thought whispered in my mind. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter of rebuilding. A chapter of understanding each other again. The turning point wasn't just the moment he confessed. It was the moment we finally stopped pretending that everything was okay and started walking towards each other again. Even if it was with small steps. Even if it was slow. Even if it hurt. Because sometimes the deepest healing begins right after the deepest hurt. I did not sleep the night he confessed. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet hum of the fan, feeling the heavy beating of my own heart. His words kept circling around me like a slow echo. I did not cheat on you, but I lost my way. What does that even mean? How does a person lose their way in a marriage? I kept asking myself these questions in the darkness, turning from one side to the other, trying to understand where we had gone wrong. But the more I thought, the more I realized something painful. It was not only his fault. We had both changed. Slowly, silently, without even noticing. We had become two people living under the same roof, but walking on different paths. In the morning, when sunlight slipped through the curtains, the house felt different. Quiet, but not peaceful, almost like it was holding its breath. He came out of the bedroom late, his steps slow, his face tired. For a moment, he just stood near the doorway watching me make tea. He looked like he wanted to come closer, but something was holding him back. "Did you sleep?" he asked softly. I shook my head. "No."
He nodded, as if he expected that answer. We sat opposite each other at the dining table, teacups between us. For 25 years, this table had been our place of laughter and arguments, of everyday stories and ordinary life. But that morning, it felt like a battlefield. He cleared his throat. "I want to explain, if you let me." I did not stop him. He talked for a long time, not in one flow, but in pieces. Slow, hesitant pieces. Like he was giving me parts of himself he had hidden for too long. He told me about the loneliness he felt when our routines became predictable. How he began staying late at work, not because of another woman, but because he was avoiding the feeling of being invisible at home. He told me about the guilt he carried every time he walked in late and saw my quiet disappointment. He told me he did not know how to talk about it without hurting me. Then he said something that stayed with me. "You stopped needing me, and I did not know how to deal with that." I felt that sentence like a slow, deep cut. Because it was true. I had become independent, strong, busy with the responsibilities of life, busy with the world, busy with everything except us. I used to wait for him, ask about his day, laugh at his jokes, even the unfunny ones, touch his arm when I walked past him, hold his hand when we crossed the street. I had stopped doing those things. Not because I did not love him, but because life had pushed us into a rhythm where affection began to feel unnecessary. We became comfortable. Too comfortable. Comfortable to the point where we stopped trying. That realization broke me. He reached across the table, but he hesitated, unsure if I would pull away. "I still love you," he whispered. "Nothing about that has changed." I looked at his hand. It was trembling. And suddenly, I saw him not as the man who hurt me, but as the same man who had held my hand at our wedding, who had carried me to bed the night I sprained my ankle,
who had cried silently when we lost our first baby, who had stood beside me through every storm of life. 25 years. Not perfect years, but real ones. I did not take his hand, but I did not push it away either. "We need help," I said quietly. "Not because we failed, but because we forgot how to be us." He nodded immediately. "Anything. I will do anything." For the first time in a long time, he sounded sincere. The first step: talking without fear. We agreed to talk every evening. Not big, heavy talks, just simple, honest conversations. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever we could manage. The first few days were awkward. We stumbled over words, we sat in silence. Sometimes we even laughed nervously. But slowly, something began to open inside both of us. We talked about our childhoods, our dreams, our disappointments and fears. We talked about how we had drifted apart and how we wanted to find our way back. One evening, he said, "Do you remember our first trip after marriage?" I smiled. "Murray?" He laughed softly. "Yes, where you cried because you thought you lost your suitcase, but it was in the room the whole time." "I was tired." We both laughed, and in that moment, the air between us felt lighter. It reminded me of the old days, before life became heavy, before silence replaced affection. We began doing things together again, cooking simple dinners, taking short evening walks, watching old movies we used to love, sitting in the balcony with tea. These small things, they were like stitches on a wound. Slow, gentle, healing. One night, while we were watching a movie, he suddenly reached out and held my hand. It surprised me, not because it was unexpected, but because it felt familiar, comforting, like a memory coming alive again. I looked at him. He did not say anything. He just squeezed my hand gently. And that simple touch, it said everything. The third step: forgiveness. Forgiveness is not a single moment. It is not a switch you turn on. It is a slow process, a quiet one. Some days I felt lighter. Some days I felt that old ache return. Some nights I stared at him while he slept and wondered if we were really going to be okay. But each time those doubts came, I reminded myself, he did not betray me with another woman. He did not break our vows. He broke our rhythm, our connection, but that was something we both had been responsible for. And if we both were responsible, we both could rebuild. One day, I told him, "I forgive you." He looked at me with eyes full of emotion. "I forgive us," I added softly. He broke down crying. I had not seen him cry in years, not since his father passed away. I touched his shoulder, and he leaned into me like a man who had been holding his breath for too long. That moment became the bridge between our past and our future. The fourth step: new promises. We decided to create new promises, not the big, dramatic kind, just simple promises that keep a marriage alive. We will not sleep angry. We will talk even when it's uncomfortable. We will not let silence become our normal. We will not stop touching each other's lives. And slowly, we began to live these promises. The change did not happen overnight, but it happened. One day at breakfast, he looked at me with a soft smile. "You look happy today," he said. I paused and realized I truly was. Not perfectly happy, not magically healed, but peaceful. Peace is a quiet kind of joy. That morning, I reached for his hand, and he looked surprised. But he smiled. A genuine smile. A smile I had missed for a long, long time. A new beginning. People say that marriages end because of big things, affairs, lies, betrayals. But sometimes they break because of small things left unattended. Words not spoken, feelings not shared, distances not acknowledged. But they can also be saved by small things. A conversation, a touch, a cup of tea shared in silence, a willingness to try again. We were trying, both of us, together. And slowly, we were finding our way back.